Well, this is talk time. The last time we held general elections, hundreds of persons lost their lives in violence that followed suit. That was 4 years ago, when some parts of northern Nigeria erupted in riots after people there felt the presidential vote was rigged. Human Rights Watch estimated 800 people were killed in the crisis. The United States Institute of Peace describes the election as the best run by most, but most violent. Just how can we avoid a repeat of what happened in 2011? We have in the studio a security expert, Professor Femi Adegbolu. You're welcome to the show.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
All right. Yeah, there are a whole lot of ways we can describe you. You know, we can to give the viewer the idea of the kind of person you are and how far you've gone in this security thing. But let us look at the body language of the politicians. Let us look at the feelings in the air right now. And let us look at some of the utterances that the politicians as individuals and as representatives of their individual parties have made. Can we avoid violence after the presidential elections?
Thank you very much. I think in November 2014, I delivered a lecture at ASIS International, that's Abuja branch. ASIS simply means American Society for Industrial Security, of which I'm the Secretary General of Lagos chapter. I delivered the lecture when election becomes war.
Okay.
So some of the things I highlighted there were the body language of the politician, particularly the language. The language they use in their electioneering, in the campaign and all that. So this language goes a long way in actually engendering violence in the people who follow them. So I did caution that politicians should have to mind their language in order not to create any negative feeling for their teeming crowds who will not understand some of the reason why they are making their language and all that. So I caution. We have to really hold the politician responsible for the language they use, because he plays a very vital role in how people respond to whatever. For instance, if we don't win, okay, we expect to win in this constituency, and should election go the other way, heaven will fall. Things like that. May whoever gave them the impression that they must win a particular, you understand? So that is one thing that politicians have to be very, very careful. That's number one. Apart from that, the law enforcement agencies, they have a great role to play, particularly if the police is biased. There is a great problem ahead. For instance, if the police as an institution does not see itself as serving the Nigerian people, if they see themselves as serving the government that maybe appointed them, that's the problem. The police must first and foremost know that they are there being paid with the taxpayers' money, and that is for the people. So the moment they start seeing themselves as appointees of government, for whatever reason, there is a problem. They will be biased. And for instance, opposition will not just stand akimbo when they see the people who are supposed to protect lives and property and ensure the integrity of the election is going the other way. Of course, you know this country. That is one thing we must let the police know, that if there is going to be violence in 2015, police is going to, a whole lot is going to depend on the police, especially those, because this is a civil affair. Okay, number one, I'm not one of those who actually advocate that army and other things should be deployed.
Exactly,
for this.
I'm still going to come.
They are not for that at all.
Actually.
It's a civil, it's a purely civil environment, so which the police is supposed to do everything there. And if the police is biased, we have a problem.
Why do you think our politicians have not been able to be civil in the way they carry themselves, as far as campaigns, whether it's pre-election, during the elections, or even after the elections? Does it show a level of democratic development?
Apart from that, when politicians are bereft of ideas, when there is this poverty of innovation, poverty of ideas, nothing else to say or nothing to do, or not even knowing what to do when they get there. So they start attacking one another. They start looking for the errors or some of the you know, what I can call faults in their opponents, instead of them to address issues that the people need at this particular time. They begin to dig into the opponent's lifestyle and all that in order to you know, make them look little or inconsequential in the eyes of their followers. Instead of them to say, this is what I will do, this is what many of them do not even have manifesto that we can actually look at and say, look, this is what we need that will better our life. I wonder how many of them have solutions to the problems we have in Nigeria today, who can tell us categorically that when I'm elected in the office, this and this are what I will do. Give me 6 months, give me 1 year, this thing will be over. So we've not seen any of them who can actually give us that assurance so that we write it down. We constantly remind them, because that's why a forum like this exists. You constantly remind them, remember your campaign promise, one of them is this. Okay, like the APC has said, for instance, is going to abrogate the office of the First Lady. That is, I mean, you can relate to that, whatever reason, I don't know. So things like that are concrete, things that are measurable, that you can see when they get in there, do it. So that's exactly what we want. It's not attacking individual. What we see now is just political attack, a kind of things that can bring about war and all that. I don't think we need that.
No, with the kind of things that you have mentioned now, and you've put them right in the space of the politicians, like running somebody down, you know, and making the person look inconsequential and all that. We've had loads and loads, trailer loads of it, just between the new year and now. And we're having statements that I find a little bit uncomfortable repeating on air, you know, made by politicians. Are we going to have violence? Are we going to have a situation where, because the way it is, Pastor Bakari says, between Jonathan and Buhari, if any of them win the election, there will be violence.
Not just Pastor Bakari. Bolaji Akeyemi, former External Affairs
Minister, has also said that,
yes,
that if any of them
where
win,
we are now,
there will be violence. It only depends on if this one wins, the violence will erupt, it will start from here, and if this other one wins, it will start from here. How do we go? How do we prevent it? Is it possible for us to prevent it? We have only 33 days to do this.
Though long time ago, this thing would have been prevented easily without any qualms, you know, because some of us have advocated for a very long time now through federalism. Now, it is because all our wealth is concentrated in Abuja.
That is the point.
And that is the problem. Everybody wants to go to Abuja. And once they go there, they know what they are going there to do. An individual who sells his houses, who sells his assets and other things because of the election, you know, when he gets there, you know what he's going to do, of course. So, and because we don't have a system that actually holds these people to accountable, hold them accountable, you know, ICPC and the other one, they are just there, you know. We all know that they are just like toothless bulldogs now. We don't record with them anymore because there are so many cases of corruption that have not been dealt with because of the people involved, the caliber of people involved. So as a result of that, people do not have confidence in the politicians anymore. The politicians themselves know that the laws here don't work when it concerns them. So they are there to go and, you know, satisfy their own parochial objective, first and foremost. As a result of this, everybody is a do or die matter. Forget whether anybody says it or not, that do or die, forget the coinage. But deep down within them, they know it's a do or die affair. Okay? Once I get there, they know what they're going to do. And that's why many of them, they hardly declare their asset. So it's a whole lot of problems that we would have solved before now. But since we have left them yet unsolved, you are saying that if somebody wins, this region will go into violence, the other wins. So it is a dilemma, like the devil and the deep blue sea. But you see, we can still resolve it. The kind of a recipe given by the eminent professor that all of them should come and sign,
an MOU.
Make an MOU, a kind of commitment that, look, I'm going to accept whatever outcome of the election. So I'm going to accept it, you sign. They get it published. Nigerians will read it and know that these people have signed this. So anywhere we now see this kind of things, we can hold the region responsible.
But do you think that
deal with them.
Will that even make any difference? That those people, whether it's a Buhari,
Yes.
Jonathan, or whoever else
Yes.
is involved,
Yes.
you know, sign this MOU.
Yeah.
Will it make much of a difference?
It will make a difference with a proviso. The proviso is that the police must be seen to do its job impartially. It is only then, you see, when you win clearly, and there is no report of intimidation of an opposition, no, you understand what I mean, all these things. So everybody will know, look, there is no reason for violence. The leader himself will see that, look, this area, this is how the pattern of voting went. And there is no mago-mago whatsoever. So the leader will know that, look, I have lost in this area. Maybe I didn't do my groundwork well. Okay, this other person also will know. You see, it's not a must that the incumbent must win. You understand? So if INEC is very transparent in how he does his things, and everybody gets what he's supposed to get, like this PVC and all that, no region is crying foul that, okay, we have been deprived of PVC because of, you understand? If all these things are tidied up before election, and the election now just comes like that, everybody votes decently and in order, and then you don't have intimidation here and there. The police is so neutral, the way they should be, preventing violence from either side. I mean, there is no politician, I mean, sensible politician will know that when they lose, they know they lose.
Yeah, and
but
that's where it comes in.
Yeah, when they sense any partiality on the part of those who are supposed to support or help the system to work, that is where the problem will lie. And that's why my greatest fear is not even with the politician now, my greatest fear is with the police. Is with the police. Because I have not seen a very good example coming from the police high caliber, especially the IG with with the conduct at the National Assembly the other time. Many of us are grossly disappointed that a man that is so elevated in that kind of office will be seen not to be objective in his analysis of issues.
And the Commissioner of Police in Lagos talking about dealing with anybody that's found removing posters here and there. And that was just a direct affront to Lassa. And Lassa says, look, we have a law in place. All the major roads, no posters. The inner roads, you can put your posters. And if you put your poster, and if we see an APC poster on the major roads, we remove them. We see a PDP posters, we remove them. Why should the Commissioner of Police come out and say, hey, you don't have to do this? It's a constitutional body that was put together by a statute. But that's aside. I am looking at a word you said, sensible politicians. During the build-up to an election, do we have sensible politicians? Because we get some of these very inciting statements coming from the biggest of all of them, the ones that we're supposed to really respect, those that if you want to shake their hands, you are forced, you're forced to use both hands to shake them. And these are the guys that are coming out with statements that is capable of dividing this country, is capable of encouraging widespread violence. Last week we had one of those statements coming out of a political party. And with that kind of scenario, can we avoid this? It really, really affects me because I don't want any violence after the election.
Neither do
when it happens,
Nigerians, yes.
Who will be fighting who?
That's
it will end up being genocide, and that is really dangerous.
I don't want to frighten you, nor my audience, from intelligence. Most of these people you mentioned, by now, or maybe, yes, by now, they've started sending their children, their families abroad, as I speak with you. While on the other hand, stockpiling arms, or encouraging people to stockpile arms, should this happen, should this happen. Now, it leaves me also wondering, when you are preparing for war, while also preparing for election, you maybe in your mind you know that there will be war. Now, who are the people you are going to rule over? Should you even win?
Yes.
Well, don't, like you just described our politics as war, and like they say, all is fair in love and war. And for these politicians, they don't care, what weapons they use, you know, what weapons are at their disposal. But we have joining us on the phone from Abuja, the public relations man of the Nigeria Police, talking about Emmanuel Ojukwu. Glad to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, number one, I want to find out exactly, the Nigeria Police has been accused of taking sides. As a matter of fact, our guest in the studio says that if the police does not show neutrality in their conduct as we face the general elections, that might send wrong signals, you know, to some people, and that might just lead to the election violence, post-election violence that we're trying to avoid. How neutral is the Nigeria Police at this point going forward?
Yes, thank you. The Nigeria Police has always been neutral on issues of elections and voting. What we do is to provide a level playing ground for all political actors and competitors to sell themselves to the public and buy votes. We don't get involved. Our job is to provide security, and that's all we do.
Yeah, that's exactly, sorry to cut in, sir, but that's exactly what a lot of Nigerians are saying. Yes, yours is to provide security. So one wonders why the Inspector General of Police will withdraw security of Aminu Tambuwa when he decamped to APC, and also for him not refusing to recognize him as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. That, to a great extent, gives the average Nigerian the impression that the police is biased already.
Well, I think that issue has been overflogged, and we have dealt with it in several fora. We've explained our position, and we've taken the side of the law. And I guess it's been challenged in the law court, and I think we should leave it at that. The police plays a neutral role in every electoral process. I want Nigerians to take us that way, because that is what we are doing. That is our mandate. We do understand about accusations from political actors. If their wishes are not being carried out, they like to blame somebody. The police have always been a whipping boy, but that doesn't mean that we are partial.
How prepared is the Nigeria Police really to handle the general elections? I mean, elections will be holding in most parts of the country. We've had issues of over-militarization in some parts of the country where elections held, like Osun and Ekiti State. Is the Nigeria Police really ready to do its job in this election?
Well, I think we are blowing different trumpets this time around. Sometimes, like you mentioned Ekiti, Osun, somebody mentioned over-militarization. Maybe there were too many police personnel or security personnel on ground. Yes, because that was a staggered election. This time around, in many parts of Nigeria, there will be election in the next few weeks. The police are as prepared as can be. We prepared for this election over a year ago. All our materials, all our manpower, personnel, and equipment will be deployed for the election. Where we don't have enough men, we have other sister law enforcement agencies on the ground to assist, make sure nothing untoward happens before, during, and after the election. I can assure you we are prepared.
It is after the election that I am personally interested in. What measures has the police put in place to ensure that the expected violence that will erupt can be contained in the shortest possible time?
There's no expected violence. What we expect is that Nigerians, those who win, will win. They'll celebrate. Those who have lost, if they have issues, they should go to court. We are not expecting any violence because it's not part of our culture to get violence at the end of the election. We've had it once and it didn't go down well. This time around, it will not be tolerated. We've taken a threat assessment. We are watching the utterances. We are upbeat about what we ought to do. Should there be any fighting? Not that we're expecting anything, but we're prepared for any eventuality.
Okay, it's good to know that you're prepared, and what I mean, the viewer would say what do you expect him to say? Now, what kind of training do you have in place for your officers? Because there have been cases where policemen, use tear gas to disperse peaceful demonstrations or peaceful gatherings, for the elections. Are you training your police officers to be more civil? Because this is a civil activity anyway.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing that it's a civil activity, and we expect the public to be civil in their behavior, political actors to watch their utterances and their conduct. For anybody having a march along the streets of Nigeria, he ought to have into consideration the peace and security of other Nigerians who are not involved in what he's doing. This is a free country, and people should go about their lawful businesses without any fear of molestation. Should any such occur, the law gives us the leeway to use tear gas or to use other means, other forces, to restrict, to stop such movements and to disperse them peacefully, and to make sure law and order are preserved in and around the country.
Right now, your job is not a very, very attractive one to a lot of Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians would not want to be in your shoes. So we want to thank all of you and really praise members, officers and men of the Nigerian police for the job you've done so far. But we'd like also to disagree with you when you said that we are not known to have election violence. We had it in 2011, and just last week, after the political rally of the APC or during the political rally of the APC in Port Harcourt, some men were shot. Their photographs were everywhere in social media. In Jos, campaign buses were burnt and so on. Because of all this and the utterances coming from both sides, we are wondering, sir, don't you think it's not too proper for the police to have a stance that, look, nothing will happen? Oh, I guess we lost him.
It looks like we've lost the connection there. I was even going to throw in the question to whether the police, are engaging the politicians at any level, having any kind of interface with them to ensure that they play their role as they should.
But let me go back to you, sir. Nigerians have been accused of being docile, of not taking the steps they should take as a people. We have a right to engage the police. We have a right to engage our politicians. What is the best way we can do it apart from television and radio shows? What's the best way you think Nigerians can engage our politicians right now, especially as it has to do with the inflammatory statements that they are making?
Well, I think Nigerians are very, very wise, very intelligent people, and they know the people who can actually represent them well. Where they are helpless is where elections procedure are hijacked from the people. They may have gone to vote according to their own conscience and all that, but what happens after the populace had done its own job is what is beyond them. And when the policemen or other law enforcement agencies are deployed to intimidate them, sometimes even shoot them, nobody wants to die. So this is where decent people will want to step aside and say, well, I'll perform my own civil responsibility, whatever they like, let them do with it. So nobody is ready to actually stand by, his or her vote to the detriment of his own life or anything that will affect his family negatively, knowing fully well that, look, theirs is just to go and vote and all that. Now, some even have this preconceived notion that, look, they know what they are going to do. Mine is just to go and vote. They've already determined.
So let's just go through the process.
In some Nigerians. So you can see a kind of disconnect that the people do not trust the politicians at all. Some are just going there to do their, their normal civic responsibility so that it will be seen of them to be respected and obeying, maybe either the Bible or the Quran that says that, go and perform your civic responsibility. Some are going there just to do that, not necessarily that their own vote will count at the end of the day. This is the kind of mindset several people have about what is going to go on. And that's why it is one thing for them to go and vote. It's another thing for the politicians to actually behave well, the way they should behave. The bottom line is what I said earlier on. When people see this politics as a do or die thing, and knowing that when they go there to steal and nobody will check them, so there is a problem. But the moment these people see political office as going there to serve, as it should be, you now begin to see decent people coming out to vote. Then the confidence of the people will now be restored. Abroad, like Canada, for instance, you beg people to come and vie for office. You beg them. Nobody wants to come. You are satisfied with the job you are doing. You have your job satisfaction. You are not hungry. And they are not these primitive accumulators. What are they accumulating money for? For who?
For what?
For what? For what purpose? There is something like that. You beg them, please come and take this position. And they say, look, I can't leave my job. But here, because some of them have failed in their businesses, they can't do well in their businesses. Some of them have been retrenched one way or the other. They just see government as a place where they can make it fast. And it is true. That's why they spend government money so anyhow. It's so easy to spend because the way they get it is easy. So, and there's no accountability. And that is the problem. So the moment we get our ass together, we can have confidence in the politicians. And the law works very well because as it is now, the law in Nigeria is like for the common people alone. Yeah. It doesn't affect those who have stolen our wealth. Otherwise, we will not be where we are today.
Speaking of the law, the president has said it over and over again that people who are responsible for election violence, whether it's pre, during, or after the elections, will be fully brought to justice. Looking back, we've hardly seen any cases where people who are responsible for election violence are actually brought to book and jailed. Do you think, come we're in 2015 already, if we do have election violence,
I think the best way...
Do you even think the government has the capacity to bring to justice those who are responsible, whether it be politicians or, the ordinary man on the street?
Even the first way of doing that, of assuring that, is to bring to book all those who are making inflammatory statements that if this man does not win, we'll make sure that we burn the country or we'll go to war, all these things. Those people are supposed to be taken care of before now. Because they already have made up their mind that it's either our man wins or the country goes to war. Such people should have been reprimanded long before now. So if you are now saying that anybody who does it, you are going to deal with it, in the past, what have happened to such people? We've seen people who snatch ballots. We see, with evidence of camera, nothing happened to such people because they belong to the ruling party. So we have to look at antecedent before we want to judge you by your antecedent to know whether you can perform in the present. It's not just talk is cheap, according to Americans. So you can just talk anything. But when it comes to implementation, what have you done that is on record that can convince people like us that, okay, he means what he's saying? You understand what I'm saying? And that the statement is not just to intimidate the opponent or just to intimidate people. What about his own men? When his own men, whoever made that statement, when he concerned his own people, what has he done? What has he been doing? All the cases of corruption here and there that we have a record, okay? What has he done about these people? So when you are now making this statement, people will look back and say, the past has not been dealt with. Why is he making this statement? It's because talk is cheap. We have not seen any record of people who have perpetrated violence being dealt with. We've not seen them. And yet, the 2011 was precipitated by somebody, you understand, either perceived or real. So nobody has been brought to book. The only thing we see on television now are those who have been deprived, those who have been maimed, and those who have not been compensated for the losses they incur. These are the people we see on television. We have not seen any perpetrator arraigned before the public opinion.
It's quite unfortunate.
It is.
It is quite unfortunate, especially going into an election that has... okay, let me just hold on. I hear we have a caller from Niger State. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
This is Omar calling from Mina in Niger State.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Well, talking about the post-electoral violence, the truth of the matter is that the Nigerian police has not been fair at all. They've just been taking sides with the ruling party. No one person that is involved in post-electoral violence or pre-electoral violence has been brought to book. It's just those people from the opposition party that have been intimidated. So people are fed up. Everyone is fed up. No one is very sure that the Nigerian police is well prepared and the Nigerian police is impartial. So that's just it.
Okay, thank you, Omar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The question I wanted to ask before he came is that can we somehow get information of non-violence to a good number of Nigerians in such a way that they will not only hear it, but will take the message, internalize the message within 33 days? Have we not left it too late?
Well, better late than never. With this era of social media, you know, all these phones, all the text messages, and all the Twitter, and all this, so we can do it perfectly well. You see, that's not even my problem. The problem still lies with the politician, the political actors themselves, many of whom would have called themselves, would have formed caucuses, okay? In this caucus, this is what we are going to do should this happen. These things are happening everywhere. They are already mapping out these strategies. So this is what we are going to do should this happen. So it's not the people you are going to send these text messages to that will actually, you know, affect or uphold sanity. It's just the microcosm. Those thugs, the political thugs that are being bred right now, some of whom are being trained right now of what to do should this, you understand? These are these little, you know, minority that are going to perpetrate the mayhem that will make the people who will receive your message to run. Nobody wants to die. That's the truth. But those who are being trained for this thing, they are there. We can't deny this except we want to be playing the ostrich like we've always done. It's happening. And that's why we are saying that if there is fairness on the part of INEC and there is fairness on the part of the police, the evil plans of these people will be frustrated. It is only truth and justice that will frustrate any planned violence. It is. But if there is no fairness on the part of the INEC, for instance, if some people are deprived of what they need, essential thing they need to make their vote count or to even be represented at all, if they don't have it, and they know that they should have it, they've made all efforts to make sure that, like some people are advocating, that those who have not got their PVC, the INEC or the system should make it possible for them to use the previous one, you know, with other conditions, okay, that will make them make the institution know that these people are qualified. Let them have
Doesn't that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah, but I think it gives room for fraudulent practices.
but that's why we have data. That's why I say with other conditions. They have their names in the data, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So publish it. These people are qualified ab initio. It's just the PVC, they were no opportunity to do. Many went and queued, really, and eventually they couldn't get it. There are testimonies all over the country.
Because if they're not able to use the old ones, it means they will be disenfranchised.
These are the things, literally things we should actually plug so that they don't lead to conflagration. So you know that you want to vote and you are deprived. And so you understand what I'm saying? And so all these things will lead to, and so when you see that some group are being partial, so some party are being favored here and there, it will also ignite problems. So these are politicians, INEC, police.
Now, you said something earlier about people who have been seen to, you know, use inflammatory language, you know, that they should be picked up. I mean, we've heard of people saying we will form a parallel government if we don't win, things like that. Now, if somebody is picked up for making such statements, wouldn't we be creating another problem? Because, I mean, some might say, look, they're expressing their fundamental human rights, freedom of speech. Should people be just be picked up for saying things? So
far, you don't do it selectively. That's another thing. These inflammatory languages are being used from both parties. Yeah. If you pick here, you pick here. You balance it up. You understand? Somebody has said in the Niger Delta, for instance, that if their man does not win, they will go to war. That they will make sure they fight the Nigerian country.
Yes.
You understand? So these inflammatory messages are coming from both sides. If you pick one here, you pick the other here, then you balance it. Then there will be a deterrent.
Okay.
You know, that look, whoever said it, no matter whose us is God, the government is going to deal with the person. Not when you hap on the opposition alone, whereas in your own backyard, there are so many inflammatory messages going on air. So you understand?
Yes.
That's what we are talking about. You balance it up, people will sit up. And they will even know that you have teeth to bite. You are not just backing alone. As it is now, talk is cheap. We have not seen anybody apprehended, and they still continue to make their inflammatory messages up to election that is about 3 weeks ahead. So that is the problem we are likely to have. But if these three important institutions are able to really get their ass together, that is INEC now, the police and the politician, we have wonderful election. And I want to believe that if they sign the MOU again, that will also reinforce, you know, the resolve to ensure peace.
And one wonders too where the National Orientation Agency is. Shouldn't you know, they be at the forefront of
you
this
see, we shouldn't
whole
even
campaign
we shouldn't
for
even
peace?
mention a National Orientation Agency, because my 14-year-old doesn't even know that something like that exists. You know, I believe that some 35-year-olds do not even remember that we have a National Orientation Agency, and we have people working there.
And you even know something again. This is something I've advocated many years ago. I'm still advocating, if it is possible. For instance, that all those politicians, the political leaders, and all of them, including the contestants, all of them, to have their children and their wives queue on that day. If we don't see them on queue, no voting. Because some of them have been flown abroad.
Out of the country
in anticipation that something will happen.
Yes.
Now, who are the people who are going to vote now, who are going to sacrifice their life?
The children of the poor.
Children of the poor. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
If it is possible to make sure, okay, all the gladiators, arrange your children and your wards and all your family. We want to see them in front. We want to queue behind them. If we can do that, that's another way. Then they will definitely, oh, please, I beg you. Violence should not come.
I wouldn't even stop it at just voting.
Okay.
I want to see them in public schools.
No, I've said that time and time again. Now look, if we want problem of education to be solved, we will stop the politicians from sending their children abroad for schooling. If we want the problem of health sector to be solved, we want to make sure that ordinary headache they fly to Germany to go and cure, none of them must go abroad for medical care. Let's use it. When we are able to ensure that, you see, all the hospitals, they will be state of the art, and the university, there will be no strike. I can assure you of that.
Let us look at.
But they have a stake in the system.
Let us look at elections in Nigeria that has just been spoken about. You know, it's just theory and all that. We're supposed to be a federal nation, but right now we are practicing unitary democracy, or unitary federalism, as one of pseudo-federalism, as one of my guests here said. If we had true federalism going on, tell me how it would have helped in such a way that post-election violence will not be expected in every election year.
Yeah, because that also presupposes that the commissioner of police of every state will be responsible to the governor of the state. Yes. When we are talking about true federalism, that presupposes that the governor of every state will be able to control, a kind of, modulate the activities of the commissioner. The commissioner of police will not be taking order from any IG in Abuja.
Okay, just hold that thought there, Professor Adebulu. We have a caller from Nasarawa. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thanks for joining us on the TVC Breakfast this morning. Sorry, we didn't get your name.
Amwe, A-M-W-E, Amwe.
Amwe.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead,
steady
please.
caller.
Good. Good morning. Yes, we want to commend you again. I keep on commending you. TVC is doing a very good job.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to say something concerning the utterances. The utterances made by people in high places. These are not just people in high places. I'm talking about utterances coming from both the APC and the PDP. It's not enough. For instance, how would the president of this country go out, voice out something like Buhari cannot remember his phone number on a campaign ground, what message are you sending to Nigeria as a president of this country? Or statements being made by Fani Kayode. These are people Nigerians look up to for, they should be models. I mean, they should be preaching peace. It's like Dokuba Asari said, we will go out to say that if Jonathan is not returned to office, there will be no peace.
Okay, thank you very much, Amwe, there from Nasarawa. Thank you so much. Well, this is TVC Breakfast. We have breaking news. It's a blazing Monday in Lagos with at least 3 fires in 3 different parts of the state. There was an overnight inferno at a dump site by the General Hospital in Igondo, a suburb of Lagos. The fire razed down at least 4 buildings. There's also fire at a sawmill in Makoko, another suburb. The third fire is at the Balogun Market on Lagos Island. It started around 4 a.m. and according to the head of the Lagos Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, no life was lost in that inferno. LASEMA and firemen are working to put the infernos under control. We'll bring you an update in the course of the show.
I guess at this time it's necessary, for us to warn that it's Hamatan, it's very dry. So the way you treat fire, you should be a little bit more careful the way you treat fire, and also caution your children. So you might be surprised that some of these fires were caused by children. And the Makoko sawmill, fires coming out from there is always happening there. There's something in that market that they have to check.
Don't forget, the sawdust itself is
highly inflammable.
Highly, exactly.
Right now that we have Hamatan, and this Hamatan in Lagos, I've not seen it like this before.
Never.
It's quite prolonged.
Yes. It's actually cooler outside than it is right here in the studio. And right here in the studio, it is extremely cold. So you can imagine, it's really bad. Okay.
Right, coming back to you, Prof. What a hard topic we have to discuss with you, and you have the thankless duty, so to say, of dissecting these things and trying to come up with a solution to everything. At the end of the day, the average Nigerian is a full human being. He makes up his mind and all that. He has the ability to do that. But put 10, 15 of them together, it becomes a different case. They start thinking as a group. And if they start thinking as a group, it means one person can sway their thinking. That's the power the politician has over the average Nigerian.
Indeed, research shows that it is easier to control a crowd, a large number of people, than to control one person.
One person.
That's why Hitler was able to control,
the whole
of Germany.
Is there a way we can get our politicians to realize that power should not be taken for granted? Because all of them are guilty of taking that power for granted. How do we knock this into their heads? They really have to do that. We have 33 days to one of the most publicized elections that Nigeria has ever had, and there's this palpable fear that once the results of the presidential election is announced, things might go south.
Well, first and foremost, if they are listening, my message first and foremost will go to the people who are being used constantly, whether they call themselves thugs or, protege or, followers. Now, those who are going to be used, they should ask themselves the question, these people that are hiring us, teaching us what to do, should anything go, against their own aspiration, I hope their children are going to be part of us. I mean, the children of those who are instructing us, the children of those who are paying and hiring us, I hope their children will be part of us. So they should be sensible enough to make sure that the children of these politicians are among them. If they are not there, you better take caution. You will just die for nothing.
But do they even have the capacity to think right? I mean, there's
that's what I'm telling them now to think.
There's poverty.
That's what I'm telling them to think.
They're more interested in the money that's going to be given to them.
The money they'll be giving to them. But even the politicians that will do that, You know, because the long arm of the law, I mean, the law has a very long arm. It's only that in Nigeria we don't use it the way it should be used. You see, when it catches up with that individual politician, he should be dealt with. But we've not been seeing that. That is the problem. The thugs don't just go out there to perpetrate mayhem. No, people send them. And when they are apprehended, they name these people. And so we don't see the longer arm of the law catching up with these same politicians. That is the problem. Because, you know, whatever we say here, for instance, we'll say it to their hearing, but it's another thing for the law to really catch up with them, for them not to escape the law. It's only here in Nigeria we see all these things happening. And that's why the law is being taken for granted. The politicians themselves don't even respect the law because they know that those who were named yesterday are still working free. They are still even the kingmakers in states. Yeah. These same perpetrators. So that's why sometimes, you know, what we say here is just to sound the warnings that this thing will happen should this happen. So take caution, make sure this does not happen. But those who are to enforce this thing are the police and the law court. So if it's so easy for any big man to bribe his way, you know, past judges and all that, the case will not even come for hearing. For eternity, it will go and on like that, and eventually this same person will be recycled back to come and contest. This is what we've been having. You understand? Sometimes sane people will just open their mouth. Hey, you mean this man is contesting? This man who should bury his face in shame is still a gladiator in a particular state. It's not the same person with this corruption charge over him that, you understand? Sometimes you just say, what kind of country is this? And this is how we'll be running it. And that's why we don't have deterrence.
I'm wondering if, is there a deliberate plan by politicians to impoverish the population to continue to be able to, you know, perpetrate themselves?
It's a worldwide phenomenon.
No, not worldwide per se. It's a third world.
Especially in Africa.
It's a third world phenomenon. A situation whereby, you know, politicians are deified. You know, they are glorified anywhere they go. And they also, knowing that mentality, they oppress the people. You know, a politician will be going, for instance, now you see soldiers and policemen with their whips, you know, whipping everybody to order, you know, causing commotion. So far, they have their own pathway. That's selfishness, self-centeredness on the part of our politicians. These are people who come crawling, begging you for vote. But the moment they get there, they use armor tank and all these things to scare people away. The same people they are ruling over. And so we've been taking this over the years. We've not seen any politician who will come out to tell us that, okay, if I'm elected president, I'm going to be the president of the people. I will not use siren. I will not intimidate you on the road. We are all the same. Look, let's learn lessons from this industrialized climb. So their president or prime minister will be going on the street. You will not even know. It's only the emblem you used to differentiate when the Queen of England is going. It's only the emblem, that royal emblem that you know. That's the Queen going. Otherwise, you are all playing the same role. When are we going to get there?
It's a big question.
Good question.
Well, still moving on with the show, we now have visuals from one of the infernos in Lagos, barely 10 days after the last outbreak. Oko Baba,
Yes, the outbreak in Oko Baba, a popular sawmill and plank market in Ebutemeta, were reporting the fire that's going on there. Lagos has been raised by another fire. A visit to the site indicated that the inferno started on Sunday evening. Flames had engulfed everywhere with thick clouds of smoke in the air. Some traders and residents were seen lamenting and pouring buckets of water into the flames in an attempt to prevent them from spreading. Men of the fire service arrived much later to combat the inferno. However, specific details into what led to the fire, when it actually started, and how much damage had been done could not be ascertained, as some victims of the incident suddenly turned violent. They vented their frustration and assaulted the TVC News Nigeria crew upon seeing a camera. The crew then resorted to recording secretly using a smartphone to make some findings. A rather unfortunate incident there. Well, like we've said over and over again, there's a need to exercise a lot of caution in this dry season. But we still have in the studio Professor Femi Adegbulu. We've been talking post-election violence in Nigeria, especially as we build up towards the 2015 elections. And now, do you think it is possible, really? I mean, we spoke with the police PRO, Emmanuel Ojukwu, earlier, and he said the police are ready, you know, to handle the general elections by next month. But is it possible, really? Do you think the police are really up to the task? Or are we going to have a situation where we have the military come in and assist the police? And would it be out of place, too?
Well, actually, how tomorrow will be, you start to know from today. You will not expect a spokesperson of the police to say they are not ready. Otherwise, they will not be qualified to be there in the first place. So, but the assessment of the people generally now is a kind of fear and trepidation as to what will happen. We know if the police could not combat Boko Haram, and even to a very large extent our soldiers, then you now wonder, election is taking place amidst all these things, all unresolved issues. We've not even talked about the areas that are under state of emergency. So whether they even have anything called TVC or whatever, even if they have it, whether they even have the courage to go and queue, you know, these things are things that have not been resolved up to now. I want to believe that that was one of the reasons why Tunde Bakare was calling for a postponement of the. He said because those areas, for instance, who is going to queue for the purpose of voting in those Boko Haram infested areas?
Okay, Professor Adegbulu. Yes, we'll come back to that. Well, we have Maria Olashainde at the scene of the fire right now. Hello, Maria. What can you tell us about the situation there now?
Okay, and guys, the fire started at about, from the information I got, started about between 10 and 12 yesterday, and it's caused by, I think, the power, the waste, where you have this Loma waste. So I think a little electricity or the wire, something happened, so it now extended and burnt everywhere, and some houses were affected, but there is no casualty loss. So everybody they moved their things to rescue their lives. But right now, I'm inside the Gondo General Hospital in front of the maternity and child ward. All the patients are out. They said they sent them home because the smoke is affecting them.
It really is a miracle, if you ask me. I mean, looking at this, the extent of this inferno, that there's no life lost. It's a miracle that there's no life lost. But what can you tell us about the people that have been taken to the Gondo hospital?
It happened between the Loma office and the Gondo General Hospital. But Loma there's a place they put it, so the fire started from that waste. So it actually burnt, everywhere is burnt now. The only thing you can find there are pigs. But everybody is out. Hello?
Okay, Maria?
Yes, I can
if you can hear me clearly. What is the situation? Has the fire been put under control now?
Yes, the fire has been put under control because the fire service were able to make it on time, and they were here also the night. As I speak now, they're just leaving.
Okay. Do you have any information about their response? Did they come on the scene as quickly as they could?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What can you say about the response of the firefighters? Were they on the scene as quickly as possible?
Yes. They came in at about, I think, an hour or so, but they actually came. They came in as they helped the situation before it got bad. So they were able to rescue people out, and the houses that were burnt, they came in. Yes, they came in at the right time, and they were here also the night. There are two vehicles, one just left, I think, to get water or something, but there's still one on ground in case of any other fire outbreak. But there's a thick, it's very thick, the smoke is very thick. It's difficult going into the main place, but we just had to manage to go into there to see what's actually happening.
Thank you very much, Maria Olashainde. Of course, you can trust TVC News to bring you developments as they happen concerning the fire outbreak there in Lagos and different parts of Lagos, as a matter of fact.
Oh, well, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about the 2015 elections 33 days from now, and this feeling that's in the air that we might have post-election violence. And Professor Adebule has been dissecting this issue with us and doing a good job at it, I must say. Once again, let me thank you for coming again. As a way of talking to the politicians, we have identified the security operatives, we identified the politicians and the voting public as the groups that are going to be in play during this election. Could you pick them one after the other and bear your mind as a security expert to them?
Yeah, first and foremost, to the people who are going to be used or who are being trained to perpetrate mayhem, just know that life does not have a duplicate and that you may get caught in the fire of violence yourself. And so there is nothing to, you cannot use anything to compensate for the loss of your own life or your loved ones. So I implore you to actually desist from such, because there is no gain in that. And also I counsel you to make sure, should you even participate at all, make sure that the one that is hiring you has his son or daughter leading you in that violence. That would be very instructive. And to the politicians, if you kill the people you aspire to rule, I wonder who will be left for you to rule. So that's very instructive. So the same people you are aspiring to rule over, they are the people you are also arming people to go and kill should anything happen. That is even against any faith you belong to, whether Christianity, Islam, or any traditional religion. So all these faiths kick against violence and killing of innocent people in the name of anything that is selfish to you. So you should know that. Then the law enforcement should see themselves as employees of the people, not of government, because you are being paid with our own taxpayers. I mean, with our own money, okay? We pay the tax that enable government to even pay your salary in the first place. So do not turn your guns against the people you are hired to protect. That's very instructive. Remember, if you do whatever you do, you're to support a particular government that you know maybe have hired you. So whatever if it turns the other way around and the other party wins tomorrow, remember your name and your deed will be on record. So remember, what goes round comes around. So be very careful. And to INEC, I want to employ INEC to actually, help those who have not got their PVC but are qualified by other criteria to vote in this election. Please empower them, enable them to be able to vote, because nobody should be disenfranchised in this coming election, because it's very crucial and critical to the survival of Nigeria. Thank you.
Well, I'm tempted to ask if, there are some people out there, some Nigerians who are actually really, really afraid. They're saying, I'm not even interested in picking up a PVC. I'm not going to be voting because I really do not know. I'm not sure that security will be in place, that my life will be protected, my life and that of my family. Do they have legitimate reason to be afraid to come out to vote? No,
they shouldn't be afraid, because if everybody is afraid, nobody will vote. Well, like I said earlier, I think the onus is on government to protect every life that will come out there to vote. And that's the essence of governance. We've always said it, even in our constitution says it very, very loud and clear, that the essence of government is to protect life and the property of its citizens. So the government in power today owes this as its responsibility to make sure that no life is lost. The one he has been preaching that nobody's life is worth, or his election is not worth anybody's life.
The blood of any Nigerian.
He should not just mouth it. He should act it out to make sure that everybody who comes out there to vote is safe and secured, and that nothing happens to anybody. And also, I want to lend my voice to what Professor Akiyemi said. Sincerely, that is very instructive. If we have it on record, and they commit themselves to ensuring peace, the two of them, both parties, I think that's a step in the right direction. So whoever now flouts that MOU will be dealt with. So let it be so. But then, all of that things put into consideration, that is the fairness of the police and the fairness of INEC. Because all these things work together. You cannot say, okay, because I've signed MOU or so, one party will rig deliberately, and people will know that they have rigged, and you say they should fold their hand. No, it doesn't work. This thing will work in an atmosphere of justice. Justice only. Let fairness and justice be done. Then any other person that wants to perpetrate mayhem should be apprehended.
Yeah, Prof, I want to thank you for, first of all, waking up very early and finding your way into the studio in good time for this program.
My pleasure.
And the way you've answered our questions and the advice you've given, all of them are instructive. We really appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Professor Femi Adebulu, security expert with us on TVC Breakfast this morning. Thanks for being on the show. Of course, the show continues right after this time out. We'll be back with more. Of course, we're hoping to have a newspaper review and lots more on The Breakfast this morning.